New York City schools struggle to cope with influx of 5,500 migrant kids. It's only 5,500 kids. You guys said you're a sanctuary city. You said, hey, bring the folks to us. Yeah. And then, DeSantis and governor of Texas did just that. And they're doing it on an ongoing basis it doesn't look like they're letting up anytime soon. So what are you going to do? This to me is a perfect example of exactly what's been happening at the southern border for the last couple of years. You've just got this situation where you got to have a border policy. And right now, the way that it's operating is, you can't do that long term because this is what happens. You don't have enough resources to cover all this. Let's get into this and let's talk about some of the specifics. That's what we're talking about today. Some of the specifics of how this actually impacts schools. Everybody's a sanctuary city until it's their city that's a sanctuary city and is being impacted, right? A Manhattan public school with just one certified bilingual teacher is reeling under the weight of a sudden influx of migrant students who don't speak any English at all, the Post has learned. We're overwhelmed, said frustrated teacher at PS 33 Chelsea Prep said Tuesday. We've all got migrant students in our classrooms. The teachers don't speak Spanish. There's no resources helping us out right now. It's a very challenging situation. Well, that's what happens when you let millions of people across the southern border and you don't really have a game plan for what you're going to do with them when they get into the country. So, it's wild to read these stories, but it's also one of those, where did you think we were going with this? And I think what the Republican governors are doing, it just shines a spotlight on what they've already been dealing with for years. So I don't have any issues with it at all. Some people say, well, they're using them as political pawns. No, they're just spreading the love around is the way I see it. And if you're a sanctuary city, you're going to love having people come on in, but then you've got to have a game plan with how you deal with it. One outraged mom said migrant kids easily identified by their lime green ID tags that hang from their necks. Oh man, that just sounds terrible, doesn't it? They have swelled the size of her daughter's class from 15 to 20 kids. So you got a 25% increase in your class. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when 5 of them don't speak any English at all, you imagine being a teacher. Okay, I guess I got to bone up on my Espanol from the old days. That's what I'd be doing. Hola. It's funny, but it's terrible. It's terrible. These teachers, they're like, we didn't really sign up for this, but I guess we're a sanctuary city. So here we go. She's in the 3rd grade. Her teacher is giving her lower level work due to the immigrants. This is a mom talking. They're making the curriculum easier, said Maria, a 29-year-old fashion designer. The work is too easy for my daughter. There's a 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade levels in her class. It's ridiculous. So teachers are doing the best they can with academics, right? I mean, it's hard enough when you've got 15 kids that are all basically on the same page learning-wise. And then you got kids coming in that are just, not learning anything at the moment because that whole language barrier thing. I mean, it's a lot to take on. And this is happening in so many other areas of society in these sanctuary cities. And they're all just kind of reeling with, oh my gosh. I mean, we said we're a sanctuary city and we want to bring people in, but man, dealing with this is tricky. The burden is somewhat furious parents preparing to pull their kids out and send them elsewhere. Well, that's fine if you've got the money to do that. For a lot of folks, that is not a reality. So their kids are going to suffer because we've got an open border policy, southern border. Come on in. It's all right. Come on. Just keep on it coming. Keep on it coming. It was interesting to see the Karine Jean-Pierre versus Peter Doocy. Peter Doocy from Fox is stating, no, they're literally walking across the border And Karine is saying, she's the press secretary for the White House, oh, that's not how it's going. Peter Doocy, that is literally how it's going. Millions are walking across the border. And she just kind of looked at him and went, and, shuffles through her notes that don't have anything on this topic. And she just goes to whatever her notes are that, are somewhat relatively close-ish. That whole thing to me has just been, I watched the highlights of some of her statements and you're like, how did this individual come to represent the White House? Wild, right? So Maria said she's been looking for a private school on 42nd Street where she's planning to enroll the girl. Another parent, Cooper, a 45-year-old chef, said he's also trying to change schools for his 7-year-old son who's in second grade. The alarming situation offers an example of how the flood of migrants to the Big Apple, now nearly 19,000 strong, with no sign of stopping, is straining the city's ability to provide them with housing, education, and social services. Governors in the red states have been saying this for a long time now. You're overwhelming us. We don't have the financial means to deal with it. We don't have the personnel to deal with it. We don't have the infrastructure to deal with it. We don't have the housing to deal with it. We don't have the schooling to deal with it. And so now this is becoming a storyline. Oh, this kid's got to go to school somewhere? Weird. All right. Well, anyway, just come on in. Just send them our way. I'll be good. Until it's not, right? And so we're talking 19,000 strong. Okay, which sounds like a lot, but how many have come across the border in the last couple of years? Is it 4 million? Something like that? Is it 3.5 to 4 million people that are spread out throughout the United States? That's not doable. It's craziness. On Friday, Mayor Eric Adams said that 5,500 migrant kids have been enrolled in the city's public schools, revealing the startling number as he declared a state of emergency over the migrant crisis. A state of emergency over this few kids, these few people coming in. Not millions, thousands, not hundreds of thousands in New York City. Thousands. Yeah, it's wild, right? Oh yeah, sanctuary city. Come on down. Let's take a look at we're going to look at kind of some more broad stats here. New York City schools overwhelmed by influx of migrant students. We are not prepared for this. No, you're not. The country isn't prepared for this. That's part of the problem. That's why we're kind of putting a little spotlight on this, because it doesn't make any sense. Our schools are doing the best that they can, but the problems from the federal government, from city and state, are being dumped in our schools. And it's not our responsible for us to do immigration policy. No, it's to do teaching. But like I said, there are so many aspects of society in these sanctuary cities that are having to do a little bit of we're going to have to reimagine and rethink how we do all this. Like housing. So the Eric Adams, the mayor, he was like, yeah, that whole policy where New York City, by law, we have to, offer somebody shelter for the night. We've got to be able to do that by law. We're going to probably have to take that policy off the table because we don't really have the resources to do that and be able to, continue going on with the red state sending all these people into our city. He's literally going to have to change things up for the own residents of New York, because you got so many people flowing through the southern border. Egorov said there is a concern about learning gaps in the classroom since most of the migrant children do not speak English. Yeah. Well, did we think that one through? When you just have a whole bunch of people come in that don't speak English, I'm not saying that they, that they should learn English immediately. But what I'm saying is there's going to be some inherent difficulties when you bring a whole bunch of people that come from a different country and you just like, come on in. It's all right. Come on in. All right, here we go. This is what we're working on, right? Our teachers are doing the best they can, but you cannot teach 5 grade levels in one class. Yeah. Where were these complaints before they brought all of these immigrants into these sanctuary cities? Where were these? Did we not think it through? It appears we did not, right? It just doesn't. I mean, teachers had to have known this was coming. This is not new stuff. I mean, everybody in the food chain of society knows when you dump a whole bunch of people into said society, things are gonna fall through the cracks. Education being one of them. So now you've got residents of New York City basically saying, we're gonna have to put our kids somewhere else in a private school, which again is great for those who can afford it. How about those who can't? Their kids just got to suffer. Their kids just get a lesser education. All right. Does that seem fair? All right. We pay taxes. We've been here the whole time. Yeah, this is what we're doing. We definitely need much higher level support to really make sure that it doesn't impact our schools. You're not going to get that. You're just going to have to deal. It's going to have to move along, have to figure it out. I talked with, I've got a hairdresser that came here when she got out of Romania and she spoke no English, came here at, I think, age 14, and she just had to figure it out. Still got a pretty strong accent, but she's got great English now. But, I started getting my hair cut by her or maybe 6-7 years after that when she's in her early 20s. And so, I've always kind of been aware of, all right, I've talked to her many times about how difficult that was going to a school where you don't speak any English and your parents don't speak any English and her parents still don't, they speak a little bit of English, enough to get by, but to go to school, to be able to learn, that is a wildly different story. You got to go in some immersion program. And if New York isn't set up for that, then the kids there are already going to suffer. Officials in Staten Island said this week they're concerned about local schools seeing an unsustainable influx of migrant children in the coming weeks. That's what the red states on the southern border have been saying for years. That's what they've said for years. Yeah, this is not shocking, is it? And yet, for some reason, it's shocking to those in New York. Oh, we got to educate them too? Huh, that's crazy. That's it for me. We'll catch up on the next one. Bye for now.